everybody! Welcome to Tactics Test. I'm International Master Sopiko Guramishvili, and today we're going to solve loads of tactics. As you know, there was 72-hour banter blitz on Chess 24 where I also took part. So today I decided no more banter blitz, no more banterthon madness. So let's warm up and solve the tactics. Probably you already know how does it work on Chess 24. You go on Learn and Tactics Trainer. That's what I'm gonna do now. So let's get started. Let's solve some tactics, and afterwards I'm gonna challenge you with certain position which I made it ready for you. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to Chess24 website, then I'm going to Tactics Trainer, and I'm gonna solve the tactics. Here we have the first tactic. It is Black's move, and something should happen on H2. Or not. Okay, I see. There is Bishop A6, and if White took on A6, then I would have Bishop H2 tactics. So what I mean is that after Bishop A6, Queen A6 was not possible because of Bishop H2. Let's continue. And it's Black's move. It was Black's move, Rook C8. And now it's my turn to solve it. E6 pawn is hanging. Where does the queen go after Rook E6? I don't see any good move for him. Is it so easy that I take Rook E6, Queen D8, Bishop F5? Looks like. Yep. That was easy. Let's continue. So I'm wondering about Bishop D4 right now, because if Rook E4, then there would be Bishop F6, and if Bishop D4, then E8 Rook is hanging. So that's right. Let's continue. Okay, some kind of mating trap. What I see is Rook D6 CD, Bishop G5, and if King E6, there is a mate on E7. So that was also quite easy. So far I'm lucky and I don't get very difficult tactics on Chess 24, but it might get very hard at some point. But all the tactics we're solving on Chess 24 is very useful to keep you sharp and alert. So Rook H1. I'm always confused. Where does the pawns go? My goodness. So, okay. I'm going forward with White. G1 is also threat. Oh, maybe Rook G1, and G7. Maybe this is the solution. Yeah, that's right. It was Very nice. I liked this very much because now it is for sure that Black wants to promote his pawn and play g1, but after rook g1 he has to take, otherwise the pawn on g2 is hanging. So after rook g1, the rook is so much misplaced on g1, it disturbs the pawn to promote. And after g7, pay attention that the king cannot come near and nothing can disturb the white pawn to be promoted. Let's continue. Okay. Bishop on d5 is perfect piece. So after knight g6, hg, rook d3, I'm wondering if Black can somehow... I don't see how he can protect the mate. Yeah, rook f7, I just take and mate. When we have this type of positions, you always have to pay attention that the bishop on d5 is perfect controlling the g8 square, which gives ideas that sometimes on h-file there might be a mate. And this was a very nice example of opening up the h-file, because if Black is in time to play knight e7, then nothing would work. So after knight g6, hg, rook d3, Black cannot do anything to protect the mate on h-file. Very nice so far. This looks difficult. Okay, knight c6. I can take the knight, but then he would take back. So probably I will go knight f5, just because there are a lot of threats, like queen is hanging, and there are several mates on the board. This was also a very nice tactic, because if we took knight c6, it would be possible, of course, to take back and queen g5 with the idea of queen h6. But I like knight f5 much more, because it is very straightforward. We win the queen if he takes, let's say, ef, or ef just queen c4, and if queen g4, then knight h6, as we already saw. Okay. It is white's move. And I think the bishop should be in trouble, because if I go, let's say, king b7, bishop a5 would not be possible. So I'm just chasing this bishop until I win it. That's nice. I don't think this one needs a lot of explanation, because main point was that after king b7 there was no bishop a5 because of knight c4 fork. Okay, let's continue. It is white's move. A lot of chances. What I see is, let's say, bishop h7, king h7, rook h3, king g8, queen h5. Only move is queen h6, and then I might have very nice knight f5, and if queen h5, then knight e7 and rook h5 mate. So I think this one is correct. Perfect. That needed a bit of calculation, but this line was very much straightforward. So In tactics, actually, tactics differ, of course, very much. There are different combinations, different motives, but these kinds of tactics I love. What I love about it is that it's easy to calculate. It is like take, boom, 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 and mate. Here, most important was to see knight f5. Usually, you feel that all pieces are ready to get into attack, and when this bishop on d3, b1, h7 diagonal is on d3, you can always think about sacrifices just because the rook is on a very important third rank, and after king h7, rook h3, as we saw, king g8 only move. And after queen h5, we have a huge threat to mate on h8. There is no g6 because then we would go simply queen h7. Oh, sorry. Queen h7 mate. And queen h6 is really the only defense. And here what is important is knight f5. You should see the motive that after queen h5, knight e7, king h8, there is mate, and the queen cannot really go elsewhere because then it would be mate on h file. Let's continue. Once again, I think there are mating ideas. First move that comes to my mind is queen e6. And I guess that's right, because I see a very beautiful, woo, no? Oh, the A file is open, of course. I was like, he's escaping on A8, because usually when you sacrifice the queen, then there is no more square to escape. But at some point I was like, oh, okay, check, but where's the mate? He escapes. But of course, everything was ready for the tactic, because after queen e6, obviously black cannot take back on e6 because it is mate on f8. And after king b8, these checks are very nice. Knight b6, also very well-known motive. King b8, king d8 would run into queen d7 mate. So after king b8, queen c8, rook c8, knight d7, king a8, and for the moment I was scared, like, oh my god, he escaped. But then, of course, the a file is open, and we see the same motive of mate, actually very nice, same motive when the knight is controlling very important b6 and b8 square. In that case, it was g6 and g8 square, and there is a mate on a file. Very nice. Let's continue. Okay. So, what weaknesses can we spot from the first sight? I think that the queen might be a bit overloaded. Overloaded probably is not the word, because then it does not protect two things. It protects only the rook on e8. Knight d4 is a candidate move, and after knight d4, then we might think of getting this queen. Let's say a5. Where does it go? Because yeah, I think that's the solution. I would take here, and after knight d4 I would play a5. That's a really nice one. After a5, queen cannot really go anywhere. d2 square is under control, c3 is under control, and what I mean that queen cannot go anywhere is that the rook on e1 is hanging, so it's really necessary for white to do to protect their rook, but he cannot do it. So black is winning. Just I want to say that, I'm not able to follow the chat at the moment because I'm solving tactics and I cannot see the chat at the same time. But for sure, I'm gonna check what you guys are talking from time to time, and we will need, of course, to see. To follow the chat, because afterwards you should write there, challenge me, and I'm going to challenge you with certain position, and we will solve tactics together. I won't be alone solving the tactics, so just don't worry and don't think that I'm not reading chat or something like that. Okay, let's continue. And there we go. It is white to move. Bishop on c4 is a great piece because it controls f7 pawn, which gives me idea of rook g6, and I don't see how black can protect the mate. Well, I'll just take that and give mate. That's nice. How can we explain this motive? Is you just have to see that the g7 pawn is under attack by the queen. So we just need one piece there and give mate. That's why bishop c4 is a great piece, because it controls the f7 pawn. So after rook g6, he cannot take on g6, and there is also no way to protect g7 pawn and mate. Okay, let's continue. And here we go. Now it is black to move. Rook e4 was the last move. Queen e2 seems very interesting. Queen e2, rook e2, f takes, and promoting. So I guess that is the solution, because if king g1, I would simply take it. That's very nice, because here, at this point, maybe white thought that, I'm gonna trick black because I take the pawn on e4 and he cannot take my rook back because there is mate on g8. So he was tricked himself, because after queen e2, if king goes, then we take the rook with the queen and there is no mate. And like he took, f takes, king e8, king e1, and rook f1, simply we promote the queen and it will be mate very soon. Okay, let's continue the tactics and rook endgame. Tactical endgame. How are those pawns stopped? First thing that comes to mind is rook b7. Rook b7, rook b7, c6. Rook b8 obviously is not a move. Let's say rook b4, c7, rook c4, d7. I think that is the right solution, so I'm gonna just take it, play c7, and promote the queen. Yeah, black has to be always careful. I mean, generally, when it is such positions, you always have to be careful, because the pawns are very near and they are very close to be promoted. So rook b7 is very nice move because everything happens with tempo. This is very important because if there was no tempo, then king would be very near. Let's say after c6, if the rook would not be hanging, then might be king e6 could be a move, or just to have the king closer. But it doesn't work here because the rook is hanging, so he has to lose the tempo, moving the rook, and then we again have tempo and already a threat. It's important to start with the c pawn and not d pawn because then king is very close. So we start with c pawn. He takes the pawn to protect the c7 pawn from promoting, but after d7 there is no way that black can stop white from having the queen. Okay, once again we continue. Oh, that's a tough one. So king d2. This gives me idea of king b6 because rook a3 is not possible because of knight b1, and after rook a8, king b7, then probably I can make a draw. Pawn endgame is draw, king b6, king c7, king a5, king b2, king b5. So I think that's the solution. Yep, draw. King d2 here was very big mistake because after king b6, main point was that rook cannot go on a3 just because of knight b1 mate. Let's continue. Ooh, stalemate ideas, probably. Or even mate ideas. Rook a2, bishop a2, b2, and knight a3. Isn't it just mate? Yep. I thought stalemate, but actually it's mate. That's very nice. Queen e4, rook a2, bishop a2. This is all forced. Check, check, and mate. Okay, I'll continue the game, continue solving tactics. And what comes to mind? Something should happen on h-file. If I play queen f6 comes to mind with the idea of rook h8, and if bishop f6 I take, let's say g takes f6, rook h8 is mate, he cannot protect it. Oh, this I will just take and mate. That's a very nice one because here you have to pay attention that after queen f6 there is a huge threat of rook h8 mate. So what should black do? And he cannot actually protect defend the mate. So after bishop f6, which seems very logical, ef is possible also. I took with g pawn, but also ef is winning, I guess, because rook h8 is undefendable. Let's continue. Black to move. What's going on? Zugzwang. What if I play g5 with the idea of bishop g4 mate? That's nice. It was very beautiful. g5, just using the opportunity that this rook is pinned on g4 and white doesn't have any move, so he has to either move the bishop or the pawn on b3, and any move and bishop g4 mate. Okay, let's solve one more tactic and then I'm going to challenge you guys. What about Queen E5? Looks very dangerous for black. F takes, bishop takes, rook G7 is only move, and after rook C8, I think white is winning. Oh, I had to take. Oh, yeah, that I made a terrible blunder. First, I had to take on G7, of course, because it's with check. And after king G7, just rook C8 and white has extra exchange. I just forgot because I thought like, oh, rook G7, and just remembering from the previous example that the rook was pinned on G4, I decided that I can simply take on C8, not paying attention that my bishop on E5 actually was hanging. So first of course, I had to take, and then I could win the queen and an extra exchange. Well, what we are going to do now is that I have some certain tactical positions ready for you guys. So I'm gonna go through chat, and in chat you have to write challenge me. Then I will pick somebody and we gonna play 5-minute blitz game with that tactical position. So it's not gonna be normal starting position, just a certain tactical position. If you're able to solve it, bravo. If you're not able to solve it, then I should find the way to refute your moves. Let's go through the chat, and there we go. You should write in chat, challenge me. Anybody who wants to solve the tactics? Okay, and we have a lot of people. I'm going to challenge Team Captain. I'm gonna see the position and I will have to find the position that I can challenge you. So let's see, tough or easy one? Actually, I love Chess24 because on Tactics Trainer you can solve tactics all the time, and there is even a tab for 5 minutes without non-stop speed training. It's just 5 minutes. It does not show you solution bad or good. It will just you will just solve as many tactics as you can in 5 minutes. So I very much recommend it. And now I'm just searching one position that I can challenge. Okay, I think I found one. Um, So I think I found. I still have problems to find the option of challenging team cans. I'm sorry for that, but I'll try my best, I promise. Okay. I'm very sorry, I just take 2-3 minutes. But okay, let's do like this. I'm gonna challenge everybody on chat to solve this tactic. So I have the position ready, and here black played queen e5. And now I'm challenging you guys, all of you who are in chat, to solve how white should win. I will follow the chat. Oh, sorry. I'll follow the chat, and I'm gonna see who is the first to solve the tactic. I hope all of you can see the position. So I'm gonna. Pawn pusher advises d takes e6. And another advice is knight e5, knight e5, bishop, queen e5, knight e5, bishop e2, b2. But actually, that's not the solution, because let's say after d takes, then black will simply take the queen, and I don't see the mate. Take, take, I don't see how black can mate. Or if bishop b2, he can even play knight e5. So d takes e6 is not an option. As for knight e5, as for queen e5, knight e5, bishop b2, then I can go f6, and when you take on e6, it is important to see that the knight is hanging on d7. So I'm waiting for correct solutions. Bishop b2. Bishop b2. What happens after queen b2? Yeah, many people wrote on chat that bishop b2 is the correct move, but let's solve it together. I mean, when you see the move, you have to have the line in your mind. So after bishop b2, queen b2, there should be follow-up. Queen b2, d takes e6, and if I take on d6, I want you guys to do it blindfold. I am not, that's why I'm not doing it on board, so that we have better imagination. of the position. So the line we are talking about here is bishop b2, queen b2, d takes e6, rook d6, and rook f7, king g8, queen g6. Bravo, Captain VTT. He wrote the whole line, and that's correct. So after bishop b2, queen b2, d takes e6, it is very important to distract the queen, because after d takes e6 there are several threats, and after rook f7 it is just a very nice mate. That's perfect. So now let's go to see another tougher, and I think one of my favorite puzzle. So we have the position on board, and it was black's move, and black played king g7. It is a bit difficult one, and I challenge all of you guys to see the solution. I'm following the chat right now, so in chat you should write the whole line what you think. But any move you're going to suggest, we're going to discuss, and I'm going to try to refute it, because we're not using an engine. Though on analysis tab there is an option to use engine, so it's really very good for analysis, and you can invite your friend, broadcast any position you want, and then you can simply analyze an opening, solve puzzles or something like that. First moves to analyze, check and capture. Very nice, Captain VTT. That's always what I'm saying, that first move, what are you going to think when it's about tactics, is captures and sacrifices. Okay. And Kisho is very, very right. It is the game of Botvinnik Capablanca, and really? I remember it is the game of Capablanca, but I don't remember it was against Botvinnik. Anyway, you guys might know better, so apologizes. Captain VTT suggests knight f5, knight h5. Simba 7 suggests that bishop a3, queen a3, knight h5, gh, queen g5 is the solution, and that's very, very right. So first, what we are going to see is the suggestion. Why does not knight f5 work? Just because I will take on f5 and white does not have enough compensation. Knight h5 is the same, because g takes h5, queen g5, black king can simply go, and the knight on f6 is protected, and bishop a3 does not help here, because after queen e6 black enjoys his extra piece. But what is the right solution is bishop a3. That's very, very nice move. Distracts the queen from e7, which is important because it's defending the knight on f6. So after queen a3, knight h5, g takes h5. G takes h5 should happen, otherwise let's say king g8 should be lost, because we can simply take on f6, and after king f8 king h8 is, of course, not a move. Oh, sorry. Because there is mate. And after king f8, there are several ways to win this game, I guess. Knight d7 is one way. King e8. I am not sure if king e8 we just win the queen very nicely. Oh, that's nice. And if king e7, it's clear that it's going to end badly. And king g8, I think we can even play e7 because after queen c1 there should be an escape here and here. This looks perfect. Even if g5 we can even take or play king h5. So that was very nice. Let's continue. If you guys have any questions about the position or any other moves, please write in chat and we will discuss every move. Kisho said that it was 1938, so you are right. My apologies. So let's get to another tactic which I prepared for you. And that's our another one. It is black to move, and white just played rook h4. Because it's black to move, it's possible to flip the board. So I'm gonna just flip it. And what is our aim? I'm waiting for some suggestions, solutions. What moves come first to mind? This is very tricky position because there are not so many pieces on the board, and the tactic here, let's say the combination, the motive here is not like take, 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 mate. That is why you have to think a little bit, but also have the imagination, like what if some certain piece was not on that certain place? Yes, player number 5 and GMRIRO Delta. Sorry for your name pronunciation. They suggested rook d2, which is the right move, and it is exactly the deflection of the queen, because after rook d2, queen d2, then simply there is mate on g6, and if white is resistance and plays queen e6, note that no other moves, like let's say queen a6 is possible because there is then mate on d5. So after queen e6, we anyway give this check. So we distract the queen from e6 square, and after queen e6, very beautiful mate on g6. Well done, guys. Okay, let's go for another tactic. And let's see how does this one work. This is very nice. I love it. So here it is black to move, and white just took the knight on f3. And this is the tactic I love because there is some kind of motive and it's very clear path. So I'm waiting for the suggestions now. How can black win this position? The motive here, I can give you a little hint. Oh, I do not even need to give the hint because Simba 7 was very quick to solve it. It is Queen E1 check, King G2, Queen F1, all is very forced, King F1, Bishop H3, King G1, and Rook E1 mate. Very nice idea because after Queen F1, which is a little bit difficult move, we're just giving the queen, but the idea of course is that after King F1 there is check and mate. Perfect! So far so good. Okay, let's go for another one. Let's see what can we do about this one. So white queen just moved to e2 and it is black to move, and black should certainly win. How can they win? How can black win? That you should tell me. I see on chat that many people solve the tactics very quickly, but some write that I think too slowly, but no worries. If you're doing tactics on Chess24, if you're training your tactic skills every day, I really recommend every day, at least for 15-20 minutes, you will get much better. So don't worry, everything will improve. And we have a lot of suggestions, all correct answers. Well done, guys. It is Queen A4, Rook A4, Rook A4, King B1, and Rook H1 mate. That's beautiful. But most important here was to see why Rook E4 is not that great move. Because let's say Rook E4, Queen E4, Queen B5 could also be an option because black can take the pawn on A5. Of course, Queen A4 is much stronger because it's just mate in 3 and it's forced, but Rook E4 would be a terrible mistake because there we would miss mate in 3, because here white has a huge counterplay. Now there is no more check on H1, and after Rook G3, Rook G2, take, and Queen G2, it's just a very difficult queen's endgame. Very nice. I'm gonna go for another tactic. And let's take this one. It is white to move here. Black just took the pawn on b5, and how to continue. Rosebuster is saying that he saw it actually too, but people type very fast. It doesn't matter who types first. It's important just to solve the tactics, and I am very impressed of the audience because everyone is solving the tactics very fast, and I'm very happy about that. And there is a question, how many tactics a day are most people doing on Chess Trainer on Chess24? I don't know about other people, but for sure I'm always going and training my tactical skills at least half an hour per day. I find it very handy just before the game to go on Chess24 website and just solve the speed trainer, it's called, I guess, speed trainer for 5 minutes, because then you don't stop on every tactic, but you're focused to solve as much as possible in 5 minutes. And afterwards, you of course see the mistakes, how many tactics you did, how many tactics you solved correctly, and how many you failed. So that's a really great feature of Chess24, and I'm really very much recommending it just before the game when you're playing a tournament. Okay, so here we have a lot of suggestions. First suggestion is Queen g7, King g7, and Knight d7, but the line doesn't end there, so please write the whole line because it's very good for the imagination. I'm not going to do it on board yet because I want you guys to imagine the board and move the pieces on the board. So another one was Queen g7, Knight g4, Knight h6, Queen g7 and Knight g4, again Knight g4 and Knight h6, and Queen g7, and Linder Hartfeld wrote the line Queen g7, King g7, Knight d7, King g8, Knight f6, King g7, Knight g4. Exactly. He has Knight King f7, Ma pf writes. So let's see the line now. First suggestion was that he takes on g7, takes and plays Knight g4. Many players wrote it, but after Knight g4, the point is that this knight on d7, we did not take it, so obviously if Black goes King g8, then it is mate on h6, but the difference can be that he can simply play, I think, Knight f6 or Knight e5. I think Knight e5. Because if Bishop e5, then we take it, and it is equal material. And if Knight e5, I think we also take it and play King g8, and there is no mate. So what is most important is to play Knight d7, sorry, here, and after King g8, Knight f6. Obviously, if Black goes here King g7, then we have our favorite, very beautiful mate with knight g4 and knight h6. But here, king goes to f7, and after knight d5, white wins the queen on c7 and has an extra, let's say king g8, has an extra piece. Great! Ready for another tactic? Let's see. Let's go for it. And let's take a look at this one. Black just played king g8, and now it is white to move. So we have new tactic and white to move, and how can white win the game? Pay attention at black's pieces because it is very much undeveloped. So far the material is not equal. We have pawn down, black has extra pawn, but in this type of position it really does not matter what, even black can be rook up. And there's the question, how much time will this test take? Unfortunately, it won't take a lot of time. This is our last tactic, but if you want to improve your tactics, I recommend you to go on Chess24 and solve as much tactics as possible. And every Thursday I'm having a show. I'm either playing Blitz with you guys and commenting my games at the same time, or I'm having this type of tactics test where I'm solving the tactics myself without any help, and then I prepare some positions for you, and then we solve it together. Okay, let's get back to the position. And all of them were correct answers. Bravo! Rook e5. Of course, rook e5 is the suggestion and the right move, because after queen e5, queen f3, and actually black has the check on e1, but this time it does not give anything. King g2, and black has to defend the mate on f7, so he goes king e7, queen e7, and queen d5 is the mate after queen f7 and queen f7. What I like about this tactic is that sometimes when we are playing the game, it happens to me a lot of times, and I'm sure it happens to many players. We are calculating some line, but whenever we see the check, we are kind of terrified. Like sometimes we see the check and it's like, he has the check, and we just finish the calculation there. But this kind of tactics and positions show that we should always continue the line, and we should always ask ourselves in the end of the calculation, just maybe do I miss something? Maybe there was one more move which was winning. So in this type of position, the check does not give black anything, because there is a huge threat after queen f3. There is a huge threat on f7 to mate black's king, and there is no defense. Okay, you have one check, but I go to g2 and you cannot go anywhere else. You have to defend the mate, and the mate is either via d5 or f7. And after queen e7, simple queen d5, queen f7, and queen f7 with very, very beautiful mate. I really hope that you enjoyed this tactic test, and you will go on Chess24 and solve as much tactics as possible, because it really keeps us very sharp and very alert, and it's especially handy just during the tournaments, or just before the games. Let's say you have you're preparing, you have a game to play, you prepared everything, and then you just don't know what to do, or you don't feel that you're very sharp. Just go on Chess24, push the speed trainer, and solve the tactics. I had very, very good time being here, because I'm very happy that you guys solved all the tactics I prepared for you. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and till next Thursday. Bye. Good luck.